The Alien franchise is back now with its 7th installment. And I definitely got some things to talk about with this one. So without further ado, let's jump into the review of the new film, Alien Romulus. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film, Alien Romulus, coming to theaters August 16th. So this is, yes, the 7th installment, and this particular film takes place between the iconic first film and Aliens, which is the second film. So, you know, if you haven't done your homework and went back and watched those, I would highly suggest to do so. I mean, without a doubt, the original continues to be the best. But this one not far off. This one's actually really, really good because that last film, ooh, I didn't know was I going to return for this one. And frankly, while there may not be many that share the same opinion, some of us critics got to check out some early footage of the film. And that early footage that I got to see, I wasn't overly impressed with like the plot. There was definitely some moments that I was like, I don't think I'm gonna like this film. But the things that absolutely deliver both in that early preview and now seeing the entire film is the sound design. The sound design absolutely makes its money with this film. There's moments where the space silence tells a lot more. It's more eerie than you would ever expect. And then there's times where you're just constantly checking over your shoulders because you just know something's going to jump out on the screen. So they did a fantastic job with the sound design, the sound mixing. It really brought this atmosphere of just dread the entirety of the film. Now, the plot is very simple. You got a group of young space colonists. I would go as far as saying that they're slaves because they're trying to escape this colony. They have, you know, a group of them. And I'll talk about our main character played by Cailee, Spaeny, who plays the character Rain. She felt like she did her time. And they were just like, yeah, we need you for much longer. Here's another 20 more years to this bid that you're doing right now. But she's fed up, and along with her synthetic brother Andy, played by the fantastic David Jonsson. I mean, he's been on his way up. I mean, if this is not a household name by the end of the year, I don't know what to tell you because he's been killing it in all of his previous roles here. But like, yeah, they were fed up. They were just like, listen, man, this is not the life I chose. I want better for us. And I'm not staying. That has Rain running into a group of other kids. I think there's about 4 more of them where they're just like, we got a plan. There happens to be a colony in our orbit that happens to be abandoned. And if we could go there, we could get it. We can get what we need in order to get to this other planet, which is, you know, essentially the utopia for them. You know, this is good. This is going to be a means for them to have the quality of life that they always desire. So, yeah, they were not permitted. They were not granted space permits, so they're going to make their own way. Only for that space colony to be inhabited by some things that they were not expecting. They thought there was no one on there. And in fact, they bit off a lot more than they ever could expect. And obviously, you know what that is. So with that being said, listen, let's talk about the production of the film. As I mentioned, the sound design, sound mixing is very good in this. Spectacular, I would go. But the cinematography, one of my favorite films is Gravity, and I praise the movie Gravity because they really captured the essence of space. This film certainly did the same thing with its zero gravity shots that really took the viewers on every bit of twist and turn and rotation that these characters were enduring in particular shots. And then they also nailed all of the classic alien tropes, and this took them to the next level. So like some of those shots that they have, those jump scares, those face-to-face, I mean, they nailed all of that. So cinematography, I could go on and on about, but let's just call it what it is. The cinematography was great in this film. The next thing I will say is the horror aspect. I mean, the jump scares, everything that you expect in these alien films, they did. And then again with the sound mixing, that's really brought this atmospheric horror and sense of just dread continuously. Like by all means. And they did a lot of the special effects practically in this film. There's some just CGI, and when they did use the CGI, it didn't take away from anything that was done practical, and vice versa, which means there was a good mesh of special effects throughout this film. So, like, yes, that also was done well. It took a little bit of time for things to get to rolling. It took about 40 minutes, so it was a little bit of a slow build up. But yeah, about at that 40-minute mark, things got real. And yeah, you were on the edge of your seat the entire time, because it just continuously, every moment, you just knew something was going to happen, and things continuously got worse for our characters. But for the viewers, you were constantly gripping your seat, spine chill, because you just knew the worst would happen. You know, with that being said, I think by all means, one of my favorite scenes happens around like an hour and 5 minutes. Probably one of my favorite scenes, just to kind of give you some milestones or bookmarks or whatever you want to call them. Time marks, so time stamps. There we go, time stamps within the film. About that hour and 5 minute mark is when, yeah, one of my favorite scenes. I'll just leave it at that. But when it comes down to the third act here, so I felt like the film told a very solid story, and I don't have a time mark for here, but it definitely told a very solid story. And just when you thought the film was over, it hits this third act, and there was just so much more. So for me, one may take that as like, okay, this is a little too much, and some may say, okay, well, you know what, buckle back up, let's do this. So, you know, it's a slight change of the pace here, and it goes down a route that, you know, one may say like, this is just way over the top, considering it's an aliens movie. But nonetheless, I think it's going to be like, you know, if it's your cup of tea, if you wanted the extra, you got it. If not, then you may have problems with it. But definitely the third act is definitely like an overtime for this film, is the best way to say it. But yeah, nonetheless, listen, it was completely intense. The film the entire time was intense. The silence in space was done masterfully. They definitely picked their times where, with all of the screeching noise from the aliens and the creaking from the ship and all sorts of different things from our characters yelling, screaming, and whatnot, they picked very great times to provide us silence. I would absolutely praise that to the T. I think the director and writer, Fede Alvarez, this is without a doubt a difficult franchise to jump into, because as we know, there's been some greats that have blessed this franchise, and they all haven't been home runs. And with the first one being as iconic as it is, and you placing this one to follow immediately afterwards, it did not disappoint. In fact, it is a must watch. In fact, you definitely want to make sure you see this in IMAX, because the visuals, the audio, it is a ride. It is absolutely a ride. I did not expect this film to be as good as it was. I definitely was at the edge of my seat. And again, from what I had known and seen from the early preview, I was a little worried about the plot, but it absolutely roped some things together. Now, if I had to talk spoilers, I will say there's a particular part pretty early in the film that may make you scratch your head, but I definitely think that if you are thinking as deep as I am about a particular, let me lay the table down for you. The first character that died and the character that's in care of the character that dies, you may think that her decision making is trash. But once they reveal what's going on with that character a little bit later, I think if you cater toward that point, it definitely makes her decision and rationale way more believable than initially you thought. So definitely give that character a little bit of grace. With that being said, you know, I wish we spent a little bit more time with these characters on their colony that they were definitely slaves on, just to get a little bit of more of an emotional build and tie with these characters. I definitely wish they had spent a little bit more time with that. But with that not being said, like, yeah, certainly you don't feel that great sense of care for these characters, but you definitely feel a sense of survival. You want them to survive. Constantly you're hoping that they escape. You definitely with David's performance, you're definitely going to ride with this character, because if you are a pro wrestling fan, you're going to see face turns, heel turns, the ups and downs. You just don't know what to expect with this character, the synthetic. And then obviously Rain, our lead, everything's focused around Rain. You're going to see Rain really go through some developments of her own in this, and it's going to be interesting. And I thought they told a really, really complete story with her. So overall, listen, it's a must watch. There's a lot of good films out right now. We're very, very much deep into the summer blockbusters, and I know there's so many choices, and I know there's so many films, and you're picking your options. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Alien, if you had any hesitation due to how terrible the previous film was, and if you just thought that they're done, there's no reason to watch anymore, I'm telling you to get back in theaters right now and check this one out. This is one of the franchise's best installments, without a doubt. And I think how the atmosphere is so intense and it just gradually builds over the duration of the film, it definitely keeps you glued. You're not gonna want to ever take your eyes off the screen unless you're just overly scared and you need to duck them a little bit. But every single moment, the tension builds, the atmosphere, it just continues to elevate until ultimately the conclusion of the film, where you're left wondering even after. It's wow, wait a minute, what happened? It gets brutal. It absolutely gets brutal, and it constantly will have your mind sort of replaying back events of the film even after the film is over. So I can't stress enough, you definitely want to get out in the theaters and check out Alien Romulus, which, if you want to know what the title, Romulus is one half of the colony that they board on the ship. There's Romulus, and I think the other one is Remus or something like that. But nonetheless, yeah, Alien Romulus is definitely a check back in the win column for the Alien franchise. I just can't trust enough. I was absolutely worried. I definitely didn't think I needed to see any more. I absolutely did not like Covenant. I fell asleep. I tried to watch it again. I said, never again will I watch another Aliens film. And this one said, you know what? We got you, bro. We'll take care of you. So, yeah, check it out, folks. And then do your homework. If you haven't seen the first one, definitely go see that. Watch this, and then go check out the second one. That's a trio right there you will not be disappointed in. And with the greats such as James Cameron being involved with this, you already know. You're going to see why this is one of the most popular franchises in the horror genre, or the creature feature, whatever you want to call it. You want to see exactly why you want to get back invested into it. So, yep, Alien Romulus coming to theaters August 16th. Jump in the comments, folks. Let me know your thoughts, your excitement, all that good stuff about it. And as always, stick around for more reviews and content here at Big Old Belt Media very soon.